Welcome back to the NABF podcast, brought to you by the Baseball Bluebook. I'm your host, Eric Wilbanaw, the president of the Baseball Bluebook, and today we are excited to have the head coach of University of Louisiana Monroe, Coach Federico. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, Eric. Excited.
Well, I appreciate you being on. I'm excited to get into the background and your program. Before we begin, I want to encourage everyone to subscribe to the channel. If you're listening to this, watching this on YouTube, or listening to you on your favorite audio podcast, please subscribe, share. We love it. You can get notifications. We are putting episodes out weekly with coaches all across the country. Coach, just like we do every episode, it's all about you. It's about your journey, your philosophy in coaching, kind of players that you're looking for. And I know that you've got a pretty exciting, you don't have to announce who it is, but you telling me that you got a pretty awesome recruit. That's great. But then we'll wrap it up with talking about ULM and really what makes it special. So Coach, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll get this thing kicked off.
Absolutely. Again, thanks for having me on, Eric, and really excited to talk about baseball, talk about NABF, talk about the Blue Book, all the different things. But I'm Mike Federico. I'm the head baseball coach at the University of Louisiana Monroe. Been coaching almost 26 years now. I've kind of bounced around a little bit. I'm from the Northeast, was born up in the Northeast, but pretty much grew up in Louisiana. Parents moved here, and pretty much my baseball days have been in the Southeast for the most part. Played junior college and 4-year ball in Mississippi. And then I started my coaching career in Mississippi at Meridian Community College. Then I moved on to the University of Memphis, back to Southern Miss, where I graduated from. And then I've now been the head baseball coach here at Louisiana Monroe for the last 7 years. So been a crazy journey. I've been married for almost 24 years, got 3 wonderful kids, a boy 18, another son that's 16, and a daughter that's 12. So it's crazy busy in my life.
That's fantastic. Well, it's exciting to hear coaches and kind of the journey that they go through because, you took a number of steps to get to where you are. I think the thing that I'd love to kind of hit on a little bit is your background with the NABF. Certainly this is the NABF podcast, but I'd also like to hear a little bit about kind of your experience with the community colleges, because as we all know, man, that's becoming a pretty big thing in college baseball. It never has been smaller, but I think the emphasis of how it's going to play into the kind of into amateur baseball and what's going on. Love to hear your perspective on it, but why don't you start with the NABF, kind of how you got started. I know you know Derek, just a couple shout outs and just a little bit about the NABF and your background.
Yeah, it's kind of funny too, Eric. On Tuesday, I was driving through Jackson, Mississippi, which is about 2 hours from here, and my wife and daughter were in the car, and my 12-year-old daughter, I said, that field that we just passed right there, that's where it all started for me. And Derek Topic gave me an opportunity to try out for the Jackson 96ers. I had a really good friend of mine that was an assistant coach that had played with them in years before. His name was Michael Marshall. Was my best friend growing up. And I drive to Jackson, Mississippi. I'd been playing American Legion my whole life. And I graduated from high school in 93 and drive to Jackson and try out at this field. And Jason Dye is a big right-handed pitcher that was drafted, and he was a draft and follow at that time, and hard thrower. The ball went everywhere. And Derek has me catch a bullpen with him, and he's telling Jason, I can hear him saying, hey, throw some breaking balls in the dirt. And I'm like, oh man, I've got to block these things. This guy's throwing 90 something miles an hour. And then, I think I caught pretty well, which was probably the big reason that he took me, because I really couldn't hit great. But the first ball that Derek threw me in BP, I hit out of the ballpark. So that kind of helped me. But my experience playing with the Jackson 96ers, I remember the NABF logo being on our jerseys, and what a tremendous opportunity. I played with some great players that, some guys that played professionally, and a lot of guys that played, at the Division I level. It was a tremendous experience for that summer, and one that I wouldn't be where I'm at. I ended up, finding a school because of playing for the Jackson 96ers, and I've been long friends with Derek Topic, have signed a bunch of his players over the years as well. So I can't say enough about Derek.
That's awesome. No, I think I hear the same thing with anybody that I talk to about Derek's and his impact. And I love it, because one of the things about the NABF is it's volunteer based. These guys aren't paid. They keep things low cost. But talk about the value. I mean, the value is amazing with what is going on today. There's a resurgence going on. You mentioned American Legion. You talked about NABF. I think one of the things that coaches, at least I'm hearing, is really getting back to that basics, right? Going where the players are, trusting the people that you've kind of grown up with and found out, kind of what they do, and that speaks volumes to Derek and what they're doing with the NABF. You also went through the junior colleges. I'd love to hear kind of the background. I know you started it there. Talk about kind of then and now, what you saw then being part of these and what you're starting to see now. Certainly your buyer with players, the transfer portal, the JUCO routes, a lot of good players that are coming through this. Talk a bit about your perspective on what value these colleges bring to the world of baseball.
Yeah, my junior college experience was tremendous. I had actually signed with a 4-year school at McNeese State, and was planning on going there. And Tony Robichaux was the head coach. God bless his soul. And ironically, he ended up leaving to go to South Louisiana now. But so it was a perfect opportunity for me. I was able to find a coach. Rick Clark was somebody that had a couple guys on that NABF team that I was playing with, and he was looking for another catcher, some depth and everything. And the JUCO route was great for me. It was one of those ones I got an opportunity to play immediately. We had a lot of success. We had a couple guys on our team that were draft and follow guys. Chad Bradford, played 10, 12 years in the big leagues, was on our team for 2 years. Played in the JUCO World Series both years in Millington, Tennessee. And, academically, it was one of those ones that it was easy to kind of, get some stuff taken care of before I moved on. I kind of figured out what I was going to major in, because at the time I didn't know, my dad kind of wanted me to do business. I really wanted to go into the education side, and I was able to take a couple classes that kind of directed me in that route that I wanted to go to.
That's fantastic. That speaks volumes, kind of what is happening today. If the kids know what they want to do, that's one thing. And certainly if they've got the level, the skill and the ability, but the JUCO route is such a great way to go. So let's talk about ULM and let's talk about the program that you're putting together. Been there for a number of years now, lots of success. Talk a bit about what is your philosophy? What are you looking for? You hear a lot of the basic comments of coaches, looking good character. What are you really looking for? I mean, are you guys a development first? Are you a play right away guys? You're bringing in, talk about kind of the way that you're building your program with you and your staff.
Yeah, I think it's changed quite a bit in the 7 years. I mean, what I've had to experience in my 7 years of being a head coach at the Division I level, when you look back and think of the COVID stuff we went through and now the portal things, our philosophies have changed a little bit. When we first got here, it was a lot of JUCO because we needed some impact guys. When I took the job, there was only 13 guys on the roster, and I got the job after 4th of July. So I didn't have much time to build a team with the staff that I had in place at the time. So it was a lot of JUCO guys. And then we've kind of gone back and forth. We've tried to get the high school guys and still implement the JUCOs, but all of a sudden COVID happens and we can't sign, guys coming on visits. So it became a little bit more challenging and difficult. But our philosophy now really is we want the high school guys. You sit there and you talk about the JUCO. We are really big on development. 2 years ago, we started 3 freshmen, everyday position players. This past year, we started a freshman in the outfield. We were really trying to go more the high school route, and then filling in, of course, with JUCO, because we're in such a great area with JUCO baseball, with Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas just being right around us. And now the state of Arkansas has a bunch of JUCOs. A couple of years ago, they didn't. So we still go that route, and then we just try to plug and play a little bit with the portal. We've lost some guys to the portal. We've gained some guys to the portal. Not a huge fan of it, just honestly, between you and me. But at the same time, I get that the business side of it's going this way. But we really try to, bring in as many freshmen as we can. This upcoming class that we've got coming in a month or two, I think we've got 14 freshmen that are going to be on campus, which is big for a Sun Belt Conference team.
Absolutely. I love hearing that. That's fantastic. So going through this, you talk about building it, development. What are some of the things? Because you mentioned with the portals changing some things, NIL is changing some things. You being at the D1 level, Sun Belt, these are big conferences. There's a whole lot of things I think from the business side that now is filtering down to the head coach, right? You may be experiencing things that you said you're not real thrilled with it. How are you managing kind of the new norm?
Yeah, I mean, wonderful question, and it keeps changing every day. The way the landscape of it. A few years ago, nobody had NIL money, and now there's teams that have a little bit. There's teams that have none, and there's teams that have a bunch. I think it's changed the landscape because I think first off. The kids are expecting some handouts a little bit more, and I'm kind of old school. You're like, hey man, you haven't earned anything. This is about the opportunity to be able to go out there and compete, create lifelong friendships, to get your degree and all those other things. Yes, pro baseball has to be one of those things that's on the agenda that you're hoping to achieve. But at the same time, I'm having to look and shift gears a little bit and trying to get into that the portal part and the NIL part of it. I think mid-major programs like ours, we have to raise money. It's not just handed to us, and so it takes the right kind of kid. We need kids that have a chip on their shoulder, that are willing to go fight for some of those things because we're the small market, club. You got your Pirates hat on. It's a little bit, the small market people. And we're not just going to build it through, free agency year in and year out. So we've got to do it by sustaining long-term relationships with kids, and hopefully that development side works. And, but selfishly at the same time, if we lose a kid to the portal because he has a great year and he plays as a freshman, hey, that's part of the recruiting process too now. I mean, we gave you an opportunity. We used you, you used us. And, hopefully we're both in a better place because of it. So, again, it's not something that I like, but, it's part of the process, and it's part of the things that we're trying to navigate and trying to figure out on a day-to-day basis.
Oh, that's great. That's great, Coach. I love the Pirates analogy. I hope you're not the Pirates. I'd rather you be the Kansas City Royals, that small market team that knows how to win and put together the teams.
That's right. Yeah. My parents live in Tampa, Florida, and my dad's always saying like, gosh, those guys are doing it with less money than the Yankees are. And he's right. So it is neat how everybody, and we're no different, a mid-major like us compared to some of the teams in our league and some of the teams in our state. When you think about that,
Yeah.
we're all we're all in this in the same storm, but we're just all in different sized boats is really the biggest thing.
That's a great analogy. Now, Coach, knowing that you're, and I love it. You bring in 14 freshmen. That they may hit the portal because of just what's going on. How do you kind of approach that recruiting process then? Because I'm sure that your goal is that these guys are 4-year commits, right? That's the goal. You want to develop these guys. They want to be part of the program. You're building a team. You're building a family. What are some of the things and the character things that you're really looking for from a coach, and what you've told your staff that you're really looking for to kind of navigate through that, to know you're not getting the guys that are asking for the buck, that they're willing to earn? What are some of the things that you kind of apply and put into action to allow them to make the good decisions?
Yeah, I think the first thing we look at is from just a toughness standpoint. We're in an area where kids play multiple sports, and I love kids that do that because first off, it shows me that they've got a little toughness about them, whether a football or a basketball or whatever else they do. We really love to find guys that are willing to fight for some things. And again, we have to do it a little bit different. So that's kind of one of the first things that we're going to look at. And then we have to look at, kids are transferring high schools. Kids are transferring from travel team to travel team. To me, those are indications of maybe what the future of it holds for them in their time here. And I'm a loyalty guy, and it's hard to do that in today's day and age because I mean, kids are going to multiple high schools. They're going to playing with multiple teams. They're getting picked up by other people. And so it makes it challenging. But the toughness part of it is probably the first thing that we try to look at. And then just trying to find the right fit for us. We try to coach with love first. To me, that's my faith is important to me. And I'm a Christian and we display some of those things and we try to do that. It's with love. It's with tough love, just like I do with my own children. And, we want kids that want to be coached tough.
That's great. Before we begin, before we continue, Baseball Bluebook, bringing the NABF podcast. We've got Coach Federico with the University of Louisiana Monroe with us. Coach, you talked about a couple of things: loyalty, toughness, faith, love, all of those things. Tough love. I think that goes all together. The players have changed, right? We're both kind of the same age, kind of cut from the same cloth. That tough love is something that is probably not on display as much as you're starting to see these players come through. Certainly being a high school recruiting kind of program, talk a bit about what you've seen and how when you bring these guys in, how do you bring that how do you display some of that tough love, that loyalty, creating the loyalty and really kind of building them to what you'd like them to be?
Yeah, I think the locker room's where it all starts, and it starts with your players. The guys that return. First off, I think the players have to hold each other accountable, and that's a standard that we try to set here. And then you hope that you sustain it with guys returning, and the next group of individuals steps up after seniors leave or after you lose a kid to the draft. You just hoping that the next group steps up, and then if a freshman walks in the locker room and throws some trash on the ground, it's like one of the kids has got to say, hey man, we don't do that. We throw our stuff in the trash can or leave in the dugout a certain way. So I think it starts with the players and it starts in that locker room, that the accountability has to start from them. And of course, from us as coaches handing that thing down, our strength coach is really the first person that gets his hands on our players. So I think it starts in the weight room. And again, I think that's where the toughness kind of comes, because it's going to be uncomfortable for them. When a freshman comes in, they've never been away from home. They've never been in a 10 by 10, dorm room, and a dude's sleeping next to them that snores and all that stuff. So it's uncomfortable. But I think when you have the players that can help sustain those things and get the ball turning to get them on the right track, it starts with the players. And really that's, as a coach, the best teams you have are the ones that it's player driven.
That's awesome. I could only imagine kids coming in, they hear the same things, right? They hear about getting in the weight room, working on strength. I'll bet you it's a real eye opener when they hit the collegiate level weight room. I mean, doing a couple reps at the high school level, maybe getting the train, whatever it is. I love to hear what would one of the freshmen coming in after a few weeks being with you guys, what would his perspective and perception be on your program?
From the weight room standpoint?
From a weight room across the board, kind of their first initial, you've probably heard it many times, but what would be kind of the response, or what's the common response with your new recruits coming in?
Yeah, I think first thing is going to be demanding. A kid coming on campus is like, whoa, it's a full-time job when you think about it.
Yeah.
When they go to class for 15 hours a semester or per week, and then you get 8 to 20 hours of baseball related stuff along with study hall and so on and so forth. It's a 40-hour a week job. So I think a lot of kids have this misconception that it's all fun and games and you just do this, but like you've got time management, you've got things that you've got to balance out. You've got to make sure you get off to a good start with your classes and not get behind from the classroom standpoint. You've got you can't be late to the weight room. Sometimes the high school kid, he's been over at football practice and
Yep.
he gets over there late to baseball because he's been doing both things. And so again, it goes back to the accountability. There's a lot of things that the players are like, oh, wow, this is a lot more demanding than really what I thought it was going to be. And then we've got great people like our academic counselor, Miranda Weed, who's on top of them about, their classes, and they don't think about those things. They just think it's all fun and games with just the baseball side of it. And so those are the challenges I think that they accept, and they have to, they struggle with it first. But again, that's part of our job as coaches to go, okay, we've got this covered. And it's the same thing every year. Sometimes it's the same hiccups, that the freshmen do, or the new JUCO kid that comes in has to do as well.
That's great. What's success look like for you, Coach, at the baseball level, as from a baseball and the team perspective?
Yeah, I mean, winning on the field is definitely, from my seat, that's ultimately what we, are trying to do. I mean, the goal for every one of us is Omaha. I mean, that's something that's just it's just amazing. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. But also from my seat, I look at other things that are just as important to the success of the wins is the family atmosphere that we just talked about, the locker room. So that dugout is an extension of my family, and they're part of us. This is a long-term relationship, hopefully for me, with those guys. This isn't just a one-year thing. I want to be a part of their lives forever. And, I want a kid to call me up and say, hey, Coach, I just had my first baby, or just got married, or I got a new job. Can you help me with this? So that family part of is huge. The academic side of it is a win for me, because then getting a college degree, I've coached, a number of big leaguers, but not all of them have made enough money to never have to work again.
Yeah.
So getting that degree and understanding that they're going to probably have to do something the next 40 years of their life is important. The baseball experience, just, the teams we play, the league we play in, of course, winning baseball games is important as well. And that experience of all that, I mean, the bus rides, there's so many things that go into it that you just look back and go, man, what a great experience that was. And then for me too is my faith. I try to sprinkle that in there to them a little bit, and hopefully they can find themselves, because I think most kids are going to go through turbulence. They're going to go through more tough times, but understanding that even when you go through that turbulence, typically you're going to get through it, and it's going to be smooth sailing after that. And when you can have your family and your academics and the baseball and your faith, man, you've got so much balance and moderation in your life that, not one thing is above the other.
Sounds like a dream come true. I'm in the baseball world, man. I love what I do. I get to do this every day, talk to people, and the balance of faith and friendships and it's pretty awesome. And then win, that's
Yeah.
everybody wants to
And
win.
that's the biggest thing. I mean, our job is to win baseball games, and that's ultimately, again, what I want to do, and what I'm expecting here.
That's awesome. Hey, Coach, as we wrap up, I always love to give coaches an opportunity to kind of do a shout out of the program, the university itself. What are some of the highlights? I mean, certainly we've got a video in our app of the campus, but what can someone expect that maybe is a little bit different at ULM than maybe what they wouldn't be expecting?
Well, that's a funny thing that you ask, because a lot of people know about Monroe because of Duck Dynasty.
Yep.
They're Willie and those guys over there have kind of put Monroe on the map a little bit with some things. And it's funny because, like, Delta Airlines started here, and Coca-Cola Bottling Company started here. So it's kind of famous in the landscape of a lot of big things that have happened over time. But the hunting and fishing is just the outdoors part of North Louisiana is amazing. We've got, I don't hunt. All my coaches do, all my players do. They got their 4-wheelers and bringing their boats and everything else to, as soon as practice is over with, they're going and doing that. And I think, a big part of it is they see it so much of the Duck Dynasty culture. Great food. Monroe's a great place to raise kids and have a family. It's a quaint campus. We only have about 12,000 students and undergraduate. It's not a huge campus. It's not a huge city, but it's right off of I-20. And then, whether you're driving to Dallas, Texas, or you're, driving to Atlanta, Georgia, you drive right through here on I-20. And it's a special place. It's in a great league. The Sun Belt Conference is an amazing league to be in. And, when you think of the history of our state with the teams that have, whether they've been to Omaha or been to regionals, and we've been one of those teams, there's a lot of history that from the baseball side of it that people can get here.
Absolutely. Baseball is big down there. You talked about Mississippi, Louisiana. Man, I'm loving my trek through those southern states. A little bit different than the Southeast. I mean, we all know about the Southeast, but having the Southern Conference, Sun Belt Conference, absolutely love having you on, Coach. I guess the last question before we end is, I always ask, are you in the book, Coach?
Absolutely, I am, and I've been using the book since 1999. So it's the app's a little bit different because I'm the old school the book guy, but yeah, I'm in there.
That's fantastic. Well, Coach, I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. All of the coach's information, his staff, more information on the actual program you can find free in the Baseball Bluebook app. You can download it from Apple or from Google Play. Guys, appreciate you spending the day with me and Coach Federico. Coach, thank you very much. Good luck with everything, and you have a great day.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it. Have a blessed day.
All right.